Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We have a very exciting episode for you today about what to do with the upcoming stimulus checks.
Smash that subscribe button, give Bert and I a thumbs up as we talk to you about what options you have at your disposal once that big, fat, miraculous, Jerome Powell infused economic stimulus package arrives at your door.
So once that check arrives, we are here today to talk to you about 3 different strategies of what you can do with this upcoming stimulus check. Now, we do want to note nothing has been finalized yet. Just to give a quick track record of where we are standing, you have the House that's proposed a $3 trillion stimulus package. You have the Senate that's proposed a $1 trillion stimulus package. So as you can tell, we are on both ends of the spectrum, and chances are the final bill is going to be somewhere right smack in the middle.
You know, 1 trillion, 3 trillion, it's like in Happy Gilmore. Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a... No, but in all seriousness, you know, one could actually expect, and what we probably know, is that there will be an economic stimulus package, and what the government refers to as an economic impact payment. You know, as we recall last round, it was $1,200 per adult as well as an additional $500 per child, with the phase outs beginning at $75,000 for an individual and $150,000 for married, you know, jointly. Now, this next round, what those dollar amounts are, more than likely it looks like they'll still be the same. You know, it could be $1,200, it could be a little bit less, maybe $1,000, but we're assuming and expecting it to be $1,200, with the phase out starting at $1 million. No, it won't be $1 million. It'll more likely be the same phase outs, but I believe they discussed that they're trying to introduce millions of more people into the package this time versus last time. So more so just a number of people and who can actually, you know, receive and be a recipient of one of those packages.
Therefore, so what do we know? You are most likely going to receive a nice wad of cash delivered into your mailbox on a beautiful, sunny, possibly cloudy, pandemic staying at home Wednesday. So that you will be able to take that check, deposit it, and use it to help improve your financial situation.
Yeah, more than likely it's not going to be a cash in a white envelope with a note that just says you. No, it's not going to be like that. You'll receive a direct deposit more than likely, or you'll receive a check if somehow your account information, you know, isn't up to date within the IRS website.
Yeah. So now that we have this economic stimulus package, here is the $1 million question. What do you do with the cash? We've received comments on our videos, so let's give a shout out to our follower, Tanner Menard, who helped bring up this video topic idea that we think is an excellent topic to cover. So that's why we sat in Laney's dining room, grabbed some coffee, and decided to talk to you today about what are your 3 options of what you can do with this new economic stimulus check.
You know, so we're going to go into detail on 3 options, and it obviously depends on your personal finance situation. So we're going to try to cater to at least 3 categories of individuals and investors, and you more than likely will fall into one or maybe a hybrid of all 3. So we'll kick things off with our first item, which is
cash savings. It's called personal finance for a reason. Each person's got their own personal financial situation. We know that this has been an interesting last few months, so obviously we want to start by saying, if your emergency fund is lower than what you want it to be today, use the cash to build up your emergency fund. It can be 1 month, 3 months, 6 months savings. However, if you're not at the mark, we suggest that you use this extra additional cash to beef up that emergency fund so you can get to the threshold where you are comfortable and where you can start deploying strategies number 2 and number 3 from what to do with the stimulus check.
Hey Bert, last time, did you stuff that under your mattress? You put it under your pillow?
Yeah, I mean, I know banks aren't paying you very much on your interest, so I decided just to take 0% and really make my cash dead as it's sitting under my bed.
No, but if you do choose to put it in cash, obviously look at least a high online yielding savings account. You know, I know right now, kind of that top line is around 1% that we've seen across the industry. Really many platforms, Capital One, Ally, more than likely American Express, Goldman Sachs. They'll more than likely all are at or around that 1% interest rate mark.
Yep. So I think this is a perfect segue, Lanny. What is the second strategy you suggest?
So your cash savings is fine, and you're an investor and you're trying to reach financial freedom or financial independence, or you just don't have really any other use for the an economic impact payment when it arrives. We just went over a video about being a dividend investor and using Vanguard exchange traded funds to your advantage. So if you don't like to pick individual stocks, or you also feel like there may be uncertainty in the stock market with, if you look at shares of Tesla, obviously shares of Apple with their 4-to-1 stock split where valuations are really bouncing through the roof, and you can't pinpoint that individual stock to actually purchase or acquire, we obviously recommend taking a look at Vanguard Group and their selection of exchange-traded funds.
Yep, and two of the Vanguard exchange-traded funds that we always suggest or we always talk about are ticker symbol VOO and VYM. Again, look at the Vanguard video where we talk about them in detail. If not, we'll put a link to them on the Vanguard page in our description box below.
Oh, thanks, Bert. And remember, from an investor and from one of the most legacy and iconic quotes, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. So putting that payment into the market, into something that actually tracks an index that has a basket of hundreds of individual stocks versus picking one, is usually never a bad choice over the long run.
Yep. Perfect. So now let's transition into the third and final option of what we suggest to do with your economic stimulus check. Emergency fund is filled. You want to have a little more flavor of the stocks you're picking. We suggest picking individual dividend stocks to invest in. Of course, that's one of our options. I know Lanny said we've talked about how we invest in Vanguard ETFs, but we're also always scouring the market for individual dividend growth stocks to invest in. We always use our Dividend Diplomat dividend stock screener, which we run it daily basically to find undervalued dividend growth stocks that meet all of our investment metrics and would be great additions to our portfolio, or if we already own them, it would be a great time to build our position when they're showing signs of undervaluation.
Right, so always use the DD stock screener. It'll help you at least narrow down to some undervalued dividend stocks out there. We always like to consider our top 5 foundation stocks for your portfolio. And obviously just released recently, we went head to head with Bert, and Bert's heart and his pride and joy on his 5 always buy stocks now and forever. So always unraveling that layer to see if one of those individual stocks shows signs of undervaluation. And we'll actually go into some minor detail on a handful of stocks that we're actually going to suggest you to look at further for a potential acquisition here.
Yeah, so stock number 1 is right off of my 5 always buy stock list. It's actually one of my favorite dividend stocks in general. It is 3M Company, ticker symbol MMM. Currently they're yielding about 4%, and they have been a major player, a major component building equipment to help companies and help people throughout the pandemic. They've had a pretty strong dividend growth rate over the years. 2020 was a lower growth rate, but overall I'm still very happy with their dividend growth that they've been saying. And over the last few weeks, before we recorded this video, their stock price came down from some of their high levels over the last few months. So that's why we're suggesting you take a deeper look at the company.
Yep, 3M's a dividend king, yielding close to 4%. So you're going to do better than your savings rate, more than likely better than a Vanguard ETF. And I know, the ticker is MMM, and I think I joked last time that there should be another M because Bert, I think, is married to this one.
I do love this company. What can I say?
Now, for stock 2, it's going to come down to Stone Cold Bert versus Hulk Lanny. And, one other company to take a look at is Pepsi, ticker symbol PEP. If you smell what the Lanny is cooking, they're looking at around a 3% dividend yield. And usually they increase their dividend 7%. That was their growth rate last year into this year. So you look at that nice combination of a 3% yield and a 7% growth rate, plus all the billion-dollar brands that they have under their portfolio. A very strong, pandemic proof individual stock investment.
Yep, they are also one of my 5 always buy stocks as well. So I'll be watching them over the next few weeks too. Stock number 3, let's take it back to our top 5 foundation stock list. Consolidated Edison, old reliable, the electric utility company founded by Thomas Edison himself. Consolidated Edison's yielding 4%. Their dividend growth rate is 3.5%-ish. The company's never going to wow you with their dividend growth rate, but the combination of dividend yield and dividend growth provides a very nice stable base for your growing income, dividend income in your portfolio.
And we all turn lights on. We all use electricity. Heck, if you're a Tesla driver, you're using electricity to charge that bad boy up, unless you're obviously solar somehow. Here we're charging up this, video. We've got lights on. Laptops are charged up. So, you're constantly using electricity, and, Con Ed really provides you that constant stream of income due to being an electric utility provider.
Yep, so we're rounding third. We're heading home. Lanny, let's take this away. What's stock number 4?
I feel like we talk about them every video. And I know you just said the words, but I'm going to have to say it again here. This is the good old reliable Johnson & Johnson, ticker symbol JNJ.
Johnson & Johnson. It's obviously one of our favorites for a reason. They've managed to increase their dividend during the pandemic, which we always love to highlight. They are a dividend king as well, increasing their dividend for 57 consecutive years. Their current dividend yields 2.75%. So like Lanny said, they're offering you a premium on the yield compared to the broader market. Their dividend growth rate is consistently between 6%, 7%, 8% range. It's the high single digits is right in the sweet spot of where J&J is going. And taking a step back out of the metrics, they just have some of the strongest brands. They have great medications. They're huge in the baby product industry. All around, it's easy to see why this stock always gets mentioned by yours truly in our videos.
So right there, that was 4 dividend aristocrats, some dividend kings that we're offering you to look at based on some dividend metrics from running it through our stock screener. And, in conclusion and in summary, those were 3 strategies that we're providing you on what you can do with your economic impact payment, or your stimulus package as everybody refers to. Again, that is to boost back up that emergency savings. And number 2 was?
It was to invest in Vanguard ETFs. Number 3
was to look at those individual stock investments that we just suggested. And again, you may be in a position that you want to do a hybrid of all 3. Again, that's based on your personal finance situation. But we look forward to all the comments and questions you have. Please, leave them, below the description, and we'll obviously provide all the support and details that we've used in this video in the description as well. This is Bert and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats.
Over and out.